My name is John Tenney. I'm the owner and operator of Experienced Pilot Services and 4S Aviation Training. You can see behind me, this is one of our simulators. We use this for training aircraft-specific talents. We'll have an insurance company tell a pilot they need to get special training in that aircraft before they can fly it. So they'll come to us so we can give them a ground school, a computer-based training, a simulator training, and if necessary, we'll also train in the airplane. So I've been flying since 1985. I took my first flight with the Civil Air Patrol up at Eglin Air Force Base. I started taking lessons in 1987. In 1989, I got my commercial license and I started flight instructing right away. In the mid-90s, I started flying for the airlines for American Eagle in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I moved to the US and started flying for US Air Express. And I moved from there to Midway Airlines, which closed the day after 9/11. So after that, I was mostly in corporate aviation, and I also got into human resources and workers' comp insurance, which was a side gig, but it enabled me to keep this business going, where we teach people how to fly and how to fly specific aircraft. Again, we're aircraft-specific training is what we do mostly. The aircraft you see here, this is a Pilatus. I can show you a picture of it from the outside. It's a single engine turboprop. It's a very high performance aircraft. There's a lot to it. You've got before a pilot is going to fly this, he needs to be familiar with all the different systems. It's a very complicated aircraft. So the insurance companies will tell the pilot to go get aircraft specific training, and we're one of the options they have. And we're very flexible. We can meet their hours. A lot of the training they do with us is at home using computer-based training. Then they just come here to finish it up, fly the simulator, or actually fly the aircraft with us.
So tell me more about what you have, the handle and
This?
yes, those.
Well, this is just, so this, these are the pieces I put together. I built the simulator myself. I am a simulator technician. One thing I have learned, though, is what is the most common word you will hear out of a simulator technician's mouth is, why is it doing that? Because it's always doing something we didn't tell it to do. Computers, right? So this is to simulate the throttle quadrant of any aircraft. I can go up to 4 engines with this, but 1 to 2 engines are the most common airplanes. This is a 1 engine, so we just use the 2. This is the yoke, which is used to operate the controls on the aircraft. You can look up there, you can see the ailerons are moving. If I move the view up a little bit, you'll see the elevator moves there.
Yeah, I can see.
So, and the rudders. You
Wow.
see little Nan walking in the back there.
Yeah.
And then this is a special device, and these are used to simulate the avionics, the autopilot, which are the more advanced systems in which the pilots really need to learn about in order for them to operate this aircraft not only efficiently, but safely. I've known Hamid almost 2 years now. We've been working here together in the UCF Business Incubator. It's a great program. It's helped us both to grow our businesses, and we found out we had a lot of things in common. We both love aviation. We also had mutual needs. I needed a connection with someone from the East, the North African area, and he needed someone with information about FAA regulations. I'm a FAA safety team rep. I'm also the certified flight instructor of the year for 2024 and 2025. So I had the qualifications that allowed him to get some things done. I remember one day sitting in his office going through these online classes, question by question, and boy, we got it done. It was very difficult, but we managed to get all these certifications done, and that project is well underway. We've had a lot of fun working together. He's a very interesting guy, and he's also a client of mine in my other business, so we enjoy working together.
For my other business too.
And your other business,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
His other business is a client of my other business. We have a lot of other business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about him as a person, as as friend?
As a friend?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't, we come from very different backgrounds. That is one thing. And the cultural differences have been interesting. I've learned a lot from him. about the Muslim background, about the religion of Islam. And I, of course, tried to teach him all about the Christianity. Of course, I'm a bad Christian because I like to drink once in a while, but he won't drink with me. So that's disappointing. But I understand. Hey, didn't Ramadan start?
Yeah.
Yes,
The first day
Ramadan
of
started.
Ramadan,
And I wouldn't have
yes.
even known that if it weren't
If
for
it
him.
was
He's
not
taught me
for
to
him.
be aware of things like that and just aware of the different cultures and different belief systems in the world. He's really helped me a lot with that. I would like to learn a lot more about Morocco than I know. What I know mostly is from the Epcot Center exhibit, Morocco. I know the food is excellent. Very good food there. I know the architecture is beautiful. And And it seems like everybody's friendly if they're like me because we get along very well. So yes, I would like to go visit Morocco someday. Maybe maybe Hamid will take me there sometime.
You're gonna be part of a big.
First, we're
business
going to
trip.
the
Okay.
CRG 700. So they wanted somebody who had a little expertise with the airplane, and I explained some of the things that happened there. And I made some guesses. Some of them were wrong.
Okay.
But some of them were right. I did think that the helicopter pilot was not where they belonged.
Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened because of the stress where you have many, many planes coming into one target.
15. Well, someone who knows a lot about that kind of plane involved in last night's crash is pilot John Tenney. He's joining us now.
So John owns Experienced Pilot Services, and for the past 2 years, you have been named Central Florida's Flight Instructor of the Year. We appreciate you being here, giving us this perspective. So I think let's start with this. With all the layers of aviation safety currently here in the United States, how could this have happened?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that. You can't eliminate every error. It's just impossible. I watched the tapes. We've all watched the tapes.
Yeah.
We've
Right.
been watching the tapes all day. I've seen it 20, 30 times. I've listened to all the ATC transmission. Nobody made a mistake. Everybody acknowledged, yes, we see the aircraft. And yet, they hit. We're not really going to know until the NTSB looks at all the data. They got to pull the black boxes out, you know, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. And then they're going to analyze what really happened. But you were asking me before we went on camera if this was daytime would have happened. I don't think so.
No.
No,
Yeah.
I think they would have seen each other.
I know, we're looking at live pictures now as they still try to recover some of the bodies out of the Potomac. And John, you've flown into this airport. I've flown into D.C. Reagan National Airport. It is a tricky airport to navigate. Tell us a little bit about why it's so tricky.
Well, it's a funny thing about Americans. They like to go near the center of the city. And DCA is near the center of the city, just
Yeah.
like LaGuardia is in New York, Midway in Chicago, Houston Hobby is, and, you know, Dallas Love and Dallas. And so you've got these smaller, less developed airports that everybody wants to fly into, and they're trying to use runways that really aren't adequate for the amount of traffic they're having. But that's where they want to go. If they'd gone to Dulles, you know, Dulles has much longer runways, a lot more room, but
It's out near the suburbs. Out
yeah, but it takes a lot longer to get into town. The metro's not there. You know, the nice thing about Reagan is you walk right out. I think they're showing that picture right there. That's the metro station. You can go out, get in the metro, and go anywhere in the city. It's very convenient.
Yeah.
But of course, since it's very convenient, it's very crowded. Every 90 seconds, there's a plane landing there. And you've got this big prohibited area on the north side. You're not allowed to go over the north side of the Potomac. We were always taught, and by the way, the first day I ever flew a CRJ was out of Reagan. I flew out of Reagan and flew back in, and my operating instructor, initial operating experience instructor, was telling me, don't go over the river, don't go over the land, stay over the river. If you go over the river, you're going to get shot down.
Oh, wow.
So, and they were doing a river visual, it's called, to runway 1, and then they circled the land runway 33, which is the shorter runway, but the RJ has the performance capabilities to use a shorter runway. And I looked at the track; they were doing a perfect approach.
Right. And there was just, I mean, nothing that they could do, seemingly, right? I mean, what could they, I don't know. We're going to learn all this information. I know we're pontificating a little bit, but like what, I mean, a lot of people are saying, like, how could they not see the helicopter with all the data and everything like that? And I know we talked about whether if this was in the daylight, they would likely have seen that. Is that not getting picked up? I don't understand.
Well, they're not well lit.
Okay.
I mean, these are government helicopters. They're designed to be very stealth, you know, so
Right.
they don't have a lot of lights. It's you could see the one light, you know, you see the big bright light, there's the RJ, then you see this little light coming over there and boom, they hit. I did notice one thing looking at the radar. The helicopter was at 200 feet and then rose to 300 feet just before he crashed. And the RJ was at 400 feet and then went down to 300 feet.
Right.
Now, it's crazy theory, but the only other incident I know of a helicopter hitting an airplane was in Williamsport, Virginia in 1991 when Senator Heinz's plane was flying around because they didn't have a safe indication for the landing gear. They didn't have 3 green, it's called. And a helicopter went underneath to try to look and see if the gear were down. Well, where's a helicopter get its air? From above, right?
Exactly.
It's pulling air down. And,
Yeah,
and so that's what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if this would happen here, but
Sure.
it just...
I mean, more
reminded me.
answers are certainly coming in the days and weeks and months ahead as we look at this. But John Tenney, we certainly appreciate your insight and, of course, your expertise
They did
in
a
all
great
of this.
job so
Yeah.
far. The first responders were there
Yeah.
in less than a minute.
Incredible.
Thanks, John.
Incredible. Thank you so much for being here, for the perspective. Earlier today,
They belong.
News 6
Okay.
And that turned out right, that the controllers did what they were supposed to do. That helicopter pilot was not following instructions and was not where they were supposed to be. They were definitely not flying safely.
Wow.
So I said that I really think this is going to end up showing that the helicopter pilot was at fault. But the question was, how could we avoid it? And there's a lot of work. It was one of these 1 in a million things. There were just a million things that had to go wrong all at once, and that's what happened.
Wow.
And it won't happen again. Not like that.
Okay.
And that turned out right. That the controllers did what they were supposed to do. That helicopter pilot was not following instructions and was not where they were supposed to be. They were definitely not flying safely.
Wow.
So I said that I really think this is going to end up showing that the helicopter pilot was at fault. But the question was, how could we avoid it? And there's a lot of work. It was one of these 1 in a million things. There were just a million things that had to go wrong all at once, and that's what happened.
Wow.
And it won't happen again. Not like that.
Okay.
Morocco is the Barbary Coast, and these pirates used to cruise up and down that coast. They weren't Moroccan,
Yeah.
but they knew ships were coming in there to deal in, precious, like
Treasury,
spices
yes,
and
Yeah.
cloth and
Tea
things like
and all those things.
all the things you can only get from Morocco, and so they would attack the ships, and then so I believe it was, and this is why we were friends, is Morocco asked the U.S. Navy to come and patrol that area, and it was not only the Navy but the U.S. Marines
Okay.
who helped clear the coast of the Barbary pirates.
Okay, cool. So I have a question for you, John. What you can provide, how you can help if you get included or your company gets included in the business committee that's going to Morocco, how you will help us in the aviation and aerospace industry in Morocco.
Well, I can think of 2 ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, first is knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
because if I don't know it, I know who to call, and that goes to the second way I can help people, which are connections. I have a lot of the connections in the U.S. government, in the military, and in the aviation industry,
Yeah.
so we can find resources and get what we need to do to complete our mission.
All right. That's wonderful. That's exactly, knowledge and connection are
That's
the
the
key.
keys. Yeah.
Once you have those two,
You have everything.
and then you get the money,
Everything.
and then that's it. You're done. You
Well,
get
no,
everything.
you got to give us the money, right?
You're
Yeah.
gonna
Give
get-
us the
you-
money.
You're gonna.
Yeah.
We aren't free. We're easy, but we're not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing is free. We charge. But for Morocco, I do it for free for Morocco. But
Oh, you do?
yeah.
Are we doing this free? Okay, that is we're free then. It's for the travel.
Yeah.
okay.
So, what do you think? last things
I
about
mean,
you.
just like just one word from John, and yeah, just one last word from you.
I've really had a good time working with you.
Thank you.
You always surprise me. You come up with something, oh, I didn't know that. I learned things from him. Not only the different culture, but like the different country, the different industry, and he'll tell, Hamid will tell me something. I had no idea. And it expands my mind, which is that's the point of getting to know people, I guess, right?
Yes.
Is to learn about different things. So for 2 years now, I've been selected as the flight instructor of the year for the Orlando Flight Standards District Office, which is basically Central Florida. I was really hoping to become named national, and I didn't. So next year I got to try again.
Sure.
So I'm going for the trifecta.
And John?
This is just the Larry Enlow Award, which actually there's a really good version of it around here somewhere. Oh, my friend Larry Enlow, who I flew with, we were competitors for a long time, and then we became friends. He died in around 2020, flying. 2016 he died. But he and I were competitors and again became friends. But he was one of the hardest working people in aviation that I ever met. And it's a real honor to be named in the award in his name.
Wow.
And it's rare. They don't give it. Just because you get this doesn't mean you get that.
That's one is the best
This is
for
the
you.
hard one. Yeah, this
Okay.
one had to be voted by a lot of people.
That's good.
So I was very proud of that one.
مشاهدينا الكرام هنا في مدينة أورلاندو بولاية فلوريدا. طبعا كنا مع عبد الحميد الخير اللي معاه الصديق ديالو، ولكن السيد هو اللي تيصوب الطيارات وتعلم الناس الطيران. تقربنا منه بزاف كأمريكي، بدنا نقربوا أمريكي اللي مع المغاربة، لأن المغاربة ملي تيمشيو شي بلاصة تعلموا التراث ديالهم، وكما سمعتوا يعني تهضر على الاسلام على المغرب، وداك شيء جميل، لان احنا ملي تنعرفوا الناس اخرين الثقافه المغربيه راه شي حاجه زوينه. وكما قال الخير او جان غيكونوا من الناس الاولين اللي غيمشيو ان شاء الله نلبيو الطلب ديال صاحب الجلاله محمد السادس، نمشيو لتما ونستثمروا في المملكه المغربيه باش حنا نكونوا طرف ان شاء الله بازدهار المملكه المغربيه. شكرا جزيلا جان. I said thank you very much Jan for